I've had all kinds of citations and awards from Amanda's year, so I'm glad Amanda's on. Thank you for being on. I want to share these to you and let you see all this. This is our $100 per capita giving to the Rotary Foundation. That's awesome, club. Let's keep it up, and we'll get to hear more about the Rotary Foundation this later on. We have for the 2019-2020 year the gold citation. So great job, Amanda. Also, our End Polio Now support. So we also got that award. And the District 6910 Silver Award for the 2019-2020 year. So let's give Amanda a hand for leading us through the year. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Amanda. I also want to announce.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Did you say something, Amanda?
I just said you're very sweet. Thank you.
Also want to talk about our Rotary raffle that we're doing. This is an awesome raffle. It's off to a big start. I've already sold 60-something tickets so far, so that's a good start in 4 days. So if you guys, anybody here or online would like to buy 1, 3, or all of them, or sell them, please let me know. This will be a great fundraiser for us because we missed our golf tournament last year. And this will be a great fundraiser for the club to continue sponsoring those scholarships that we do with the golf tournament and other giving. These are $35 each, or 3 for $100. And the way it works, I know I'll explain a little bit the way it works. This particular ticket is numbered 505. So from December the 15th through January the 14th, we'll be watching the midday Georgia Cash 3 numbers. And anytime your number is called, it could be, say, 505 comes up every day through those in the Cash 3s. You win 31 guns that year. So we partner with Jack's Pawn and Gun, and you just take your winning ticket to them, and they do all the filling out of all the registration and so forth. On the back, you can see the gun values. There's no particular gun tied to each one, so you just have that value. And if you do not want a gun, you can change it in for merchandise. They sell everything from Yeti coolers to jewelry to everything. So just try to push this. Or if you'd like to buy some, just let me know. We can get you the tickets, and please help me sell as well.
Where do we send the check? Who do we give the check?
You give it to Frank. Or I'll collect it. But if you want to make a check, make it Rotary Club of Dalton.
Well, I have to send it. I don't have my check.
And we've been taking PayPal as well. So if you need the PayPal option, let me know, and I'll give you the information for the PayPal.
If y'all have some people you'd like to approach with it, I can get you some tickets. You can drop by the office, pick some up, and you'll have those available to give to people, to sell to people then. So you can be the vendor. You don't have to.
Just a selling point too, Rick, we do have Christmas coming up. I think kind of an unusual, neat Christmas gift to somebody, or like they have a white elephant thing that they did.
Yeah.
That'd be a good one.
Be a great Christmas idea. You're up in the Rotary Club. Yes. Rotary Club of Dalton. Also, I want to, we have a past district governor, Don Martin, with us today. He's going to talk about the Rotary Foundation. So we're excited to have him here. Thank you for driving from Jasper to be with us in person. And but I just want to introduce you. He only said I could use a minute of his bio, so I pared it down a little bit, but I want to read some of it. It says, Don joined the Rotary Club of Jasper in 2006, where he served on the board as admin chair before serving as president in 2011-2012. Don joined the district technology team in 2012 and served as the AV chair from 2013 to 2017. After serving on the district board from 2014 to 26, he served as assistant governor for area 60, sorry, from 2016 to 2018. Don is a graduate of the Rotary Leadership Institute, where he served as discussion leader, facility chair, and district chair in 2017 through 2018. Don is from Memphis, Tennessee, and holds a graduate degree from University of Memphis, Georgia State, and Mercer. Don served over 27 years in the Army before retiring as a lieutenant colonel in 1988. Thank you for your service. His career included both enlisted and commissioned service on active duty and in the reserves. Since 2006, Don has been a residential real estate and is currently an associate broker realtor with 515 Life Real Estate in Jasper. Don's a member of the Pickens County Board of Realtors, where he was the president in 2011. He's been selected as Realtor of the Year and is a life member of the board's Circle of Excellence. Don is married to the former Regina Carol Cates of Van Cleve, Mississippi, and they reside in Bent Tree, just outside Jasper. Regina is a retired educator and is also a Rotarian, serving as the president of Jasper Club in 2017-2018. The Martins attend Fellowship Presbyterian Church, where they both serve as elders and sing in the choir. Don and Regina are both major donors, Paul Harris Society members, foundation benefactors, and GRSP Will Watt Fellows. So join me in welcome Don Martin.
Thank you very much, Ricky. It's a pleasure to be back with you. It's good to see those of you here in the room. And I can see across the bottom of the screen there are several of you that are also participating online. So it's good to see you there as well. I want to thank Ricky for inviting me to be here, and your foundation chair, still Darla, right? Your foundation chair is still Darla. You should have confirmed that before. And also congratulations to Amanda for the great work that she did last year. So this is a new presentation. We're trying to create something that different members of the foundation team can use across the district and send the same message to everybody, or deliver the same message to everybody, rather than all of us just choosing what we think is important and delivering just that. So you're kind of my guinea pigs. I have presented this twice, both times from my own living room, and so I was using my computers and my screen and my own, had my copies of the words in front of me. So today I'm going to try to balance using your computer and the slide advance and still having my notes in front of me. So we'll see how that goes. I'll hope to do a representative job. So we want to start this off. This is just a presentation to tell you what the Rotary Foundation does, and then a little bit about how we raise the money to cause that to happen. And the first thing up is a video. I think if you're in the room, you may hear some sound. If you're online, you're not going to hear it, but there's nothing being said. What's on the screen is most important. So let's just take a watch. It's not, of course, it's not showing on that screen, is it? No. Little technical issue. It was working fine before we started. There we go. Now we have it. So technology always works when you practice, not always when you go to execute. So that just gives kind of an overview of some of the things that Rotary's doing. an online hint for those of you that are watching from home. If you don't have your speaker muted, then we hear whatever is going on in your room here in the room. So you might want to mute your speaker so that you're not sharing whatever that is. So I want to thank you for your outstanding performance, and I want to tell you about the outstanding performance of the charity itself. This is your Rotary Foundation. You own it, you manage it. Rotarians are in complete control of this foundation. And you're the #1 charity on Charity Navigator's list. They've always had us ranked 4 stars for years and years. You've heard that over and over. That kind of got redundant. So now they've started a top 10 list of the best charities that you've ever heard of. And the Rotary Foundation is #1 on the list of the top 10. In addition to that, CNBC started ranking charities that are changing the world, and we're on that top 10 list as well. Part of the reason we are is that bottom statistic. 92% of the funds that you donate actually make it to the field. If you're familiar with nonprofits, that is an incredible number. I once interviewed for a nonprofit to be their executive director, and 92% of the funds that were donated went to run the organization. About 8% got to the field. This is just exactly the opposite of that. About 92% actually get to the field. And the reason we're able to do that is the way that we manage our funds, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. In 2020, 2021, the Rotary Foundation returned $144,863 back to your district. And we use that then. Actually, they returned twice that. Another 145 is going to international projects. 144 is going to projects in the district. 58 clubs applied for those districts. Last year, you got about $1,700 for your GED program. You applied for that same program again, and this year you got about $1,600. So Rotary is unique in that you not only send money to Rotary, but it actually sends money back to you. Each year, a portion of the giving that was done 3 years previous, half of it is sent back to the district, half is used for international projects, and half then in our district, half of it is used within the district. That's really up to the district, and it does vary district by district. The fact that they do that 3 years in arrears is what allows us to have that 92% operating capacity, because for 3 years they use the earnings off that money to run the operation basically. Then at the end of the 3 years, all of the principal is returned back to either be used to go into the annual fund or to go back to the clubs for them to give in service projects. So we basically have 2 ways that money gets into the foundation to be used. We have the annual fund or the share account. That's when you give your money. A lot of clubs bill it each quarter. Sometimes you write a check during the year. A lot of clubs are 100% sustaining clubs. You have a lot of sustaining members in your club. That money goes to the annual fund, and it's spent right away. The other way you can give money is to the endowment funds. When you give money to the endowment funds, that principal is never touched. That corpus stays there and grows interest or is invested. And each year we use the interest or investment income to go into the foundation, but the corpus stays. So as that corpus continues to grow, the foundation will be better able to do things like the young lady that's on the screen there. She has a sewing business, and she got a micro grant in order to run that sewing business and to create that business actually and run it. And that's the way that Rotary Foundation reaches down across the globe to do small things that are very important to the people that actually receive them. But what are you passionate about? Because it's your foundation, and you can spend the money in your club, and you can help spend the money globally in any one of the major areas of focus, and they're on your screen. You might notice that they look just a little different, and the reason they look a little different is because they used to be static nouns. But Rotary went into this project several years ago where we're talking about we're people of action. So we changed all of the names of the 6 areas of focus so that they're now action. We're promoting clean water. We're supporting education. We're fighting disease. So they're actually action verbs, and those are your 6 things. So the important thing is for your club, you as an individual or your club, to find what you're passionate about and then do projects in those areas. You don't have to do projects in all the areas. You just need to do projects that you're passionate about. Or I was at a meeting a few weeks ago with a young pastor who's a Rotarian, and he said, just give for whatever breaks your heart. And if you think about it that way, that's a great way to think about it. It's whatever breaks your heart. That's where you want to give your money. And as an individual, you can do that. And as a member of your club, you can help your club work in that direction. Well, an area that was getting a lot of attention that was not one of these 6 areas of focus was our environment. So since it's your organization, when people kept asking for projects in that area, they actually created a new area of focus. So now we have a 7th area of focus, and that is supporting the environment. So that's just getting ramped up. Over the past few years, we've given about 18 million, which is not a large number in the large scope of things. But we had people asking, so they created an area of focus, and they started accepting donations this past July. And next July, they'll actually start fulfilling grants and creating projects in the 7th area of focus, supporting the environment. So if you'd like to become involved in an international project in that area, or if you'd like your club to look in that area, now's the time to start thinking about it, because your next club president and your next foundation chair, they will have the opportunity to work in any of those 7 areas of focus, but they get the new one that they get to work on next year. So let's talk about the annual fund for just a moment. The annual fund is where the money goes, that goes back out into the field. Think of it as your gifts at work. Our major gifts officer in this area, Deborah Lowe, calls it the checkbook. That's where we put money in that we're going to use now, and we're going to write checks out of it to create projects around the world. And one that you're familiar with, District Governor Tina's pet project is Alliance for Smiles. She worked on that around the world before you knew her in Rotary, and she certainly has talked about it in Rotary. She does a great job with that. Well, that's an example. If you want to participate in an international project, you can participate in a project like that through the annual fund. You can also do projects at home right in your area, and you do. You guys have got several projects. On the right hand, I've just got an early education project where they're reading. In your club, as I mentioned earlier, you do GEDs. That's what you guys fund out of the money that comes back to you from Rotary Foundation. That's certainly not all you do. You've got a whole laundry list of things that you do in this area. But Rotary Foundation helps you fund that GED program that you do in this area each year. So it's important that you understand that that money can be used anywhere in the world, both at home or around the world. And that's the annual fund. So district grants, we talked about the big ones overseas, like Alliance for Smiles. I'm going to talk about another one in a few minutes, the hand wash program. But district grants tend to address local needs. In your club, as I said, you do the GED program. In the Athens Club, they're upgrading a park, and they created some benches along the pathway for the park. All the clubs have been donating or distributing food that was donated. I know you guys have been involved in that in this area as well. A lot of clubs have other programs in education, like the little libraries. This one's from the South Hall Club, but there are a number of clubs in the district that do things like that. A number of clubs that build ramps. Take a look at that ramp. There's about 12 people on there. That is not a small ramp that they built for that guy, but that's just the way the land ran and the house ran. That's a pretty good sized ramp. But any of those things and 100 more, if you want to just go on the district website and look at grants sometimes, you can look at all the things that different clubs are doing if you want some ideas for things that you might do in your club different from what you're already doing. But that money, again, that's part of that 146,000 that came back to the district for us to use locally, and the different clubs decide where to spend that money. And these are just examples of where they spend that money. Here's another example of a global grant. Ann gave one of hand wash of Alliance for Smiles earlier. This is hand wash. Hand wash Rotary is going to rebuild the water system in Haiti. The government not able to do it, but Rotary could. We looked at it for 3 years, and we determined if we applied the right people and the right money that we could get the job done. It's going to be a decade plus, probably a decade and a half to get it done. but they've done the basic planning. They've identified where the water sources are, where they need to build new pipe. They figured out a new system. In the past, when you got water in Haiti from one of these service projects, you got it for free. Well, now you don't get it for free. You have to pay. Well, you don't have to pay much, but you have to pay something. So the people in the local community are actually paying for their water for the first time. So they've got skin in the game now, and they're participating in maintaining that water system. It's to their advantage to take care of all the parts of it. So again, if you want to participate in a big global grant, your district is heavily involved in that. Sachet Luis from over in Conyers is the district chair. Past District Governor Bruce Acevedo is working on the finance part. And he's even made it so that you can actually you can give money to this global grant and get credit on your Paul Harris account. Normally, you don't do that when you give to an international project, but he figured out a way that we could make that happen. So those are just two examples of the ways that you can make an impact. These grants are normally at least 30,000. The hand wash is probably going to be closer to 30 million before it gets finished. But it's an opportunity for you as a Rotarian to do something that you might not otherwise be able to participate in. And it's a great opportunity. So how do we get the money to do these projects? Well, we try to get individual Rotarians to donate. It's your foundation, so we need you to donate to support the foundation. And so there's a program we created a few years ago called Every Rotarian Every Year. The idea is to get every Rotarian to give at least $25 a year. Sustaining members is 100. We'd love to reach that, and a lot of clubs do, but we try to get everybody to give at least 25. If you look at the numbers, the $126 million that came into the annual fund 3 years ago, about 25 million of it came from people who were giving at least 100 up to 240. There are other folks that give more, and I'll talk about that in a minute. They have a huge impact from a much smaller group. But that 120 funded over 1,400 global grants, and around the world, 31% of all Rotarians gave at least $25 to the annual fund. But take a look at the right-hand side of that. That's what's really exciting to me, is your district and what your district has accomplished. In the 2019-20, you donated just under $500,000 to the annual fund. And the Rotary Foundation sent back 147. But take a look at the very bottom statistic. 94% of all Rotarians in this district gave at least $25 to the Rotary Foundation. Look at the worldwide, it's only in the 30s. In this district, 94%. You've always been one of the top giving districts in the world. Before all this craziness started, we were in the running for being the top district in the world for the number of sustaining donors. So you're a great district, you're a great club, and I really appreciate all that you do to make that happen throughout the world. So another way that we recognize individuals that give is we recognize folks that are Paul Harris Fellows. Of course, Paul Harris, the founder of Rotary, and the way they decided to honor him in perpetuity is whenever anybody gives at least $1,000 to the foundation over a period of time. You can write the check the first day you join Rotary, or you can give it $100 a year, get it 10 years, whatever. Whenever you reach $1,000, then you become a Paul Harris Fellow. And then they track that in multiples of thousands all the way up to 10,000. When you cross over 10,000, you become a major donor. And we have, you have at least one member in your club who is a major donor, in fact. So I would encourage you, you guys became a 100% Paul Harris Club back in 2018-19, and you still have about 97 Paul Harris Fellows in your club. So I would encourage you to work with those new members and help them find a way to become a Paul Harris Fellow so they can join you as a member of that Paul Harris group that has been honored in that way. That $100 standard, $100 a year, and then $1,000 eventually, that's been a standard for a long time. And so a few years ago, they started looking at, has the world changed enough so that we need another level in there, somewhere between there and all the way up at major donor or arch clump? And they decided they did. So they created the Paul Harris Society. Paul Harris Society members agree to give $1,000 a year. So you're giving a Paul Harris Fellow each year. And you do it as long as you can. If things are going great in your business and you agree to do it, and then 3 years later your business is not doing as well, you can't, they're not going to come looking for you. You just stop giving it until you can do it again. But the idea is when you can, you'll give $1,000 a year. And we have about 23,000 Rotarians around the world that do that. Those people accounted for 18% of the donations. That 23,000 out of 1.2 million accounted for 18% of the donations to the annual fund. So it's a way to really change the numbers in the annual fund. And $1,000, I don't like writing checks for that amount at one time, but you don't have to. If you break it up into monthly installments, it's about $88. You can have it taken out of your checking account or your credit card, and it just becomes another bill you pay each month. You don't miss it. But at the end of the year, you will have crossed over that 1,000 threshold. You'll be a member of the society, and in just a very short numbers of years, if you participate in the society, you'll become a major donor. So I would urge you to consider that. In the district, we started out last year with about 108. We finished with 111. We've already inducted a couple more. So I think we're at about 113 as we speak. So I would encourage you to consider that as a way that you as personally can make a greater impact on Rotary itself. The endowment funds are where the money goes in and stays. And we look at that as like the savings account. That's your legacy at work. This is not money you're going to spend out of the checking account today. It's money that we're going to spend a lifetime later. Thanks. I'll be glad to send you a story and tell you how to do all this. I knew that she was going to leave. So the endowment, again, is where the money goes in and stays and does not come out. We just work off the earnings off of it. And right now we're at just a little bit over $1 billion. They want to try to get that to $1 million to $2 million by 2025. So the program is being called 2025 by 2025. They want to get to 2.025 billion by 2025. That's pretty aggressive, but it is possible. So again, if people start making donations to the endowment fund in larger numbers, then we'll be able to do that. And the money, it adds up very effective. Here are ways to make endowment gifts. You can become a benefactor. That's someone who leaves $1,000 in their will to the Rotary Foundation. You can become a bequest society member. Bequest society member agrees to give at least $10,000 in their estate to the Rotary Foundation. And again, I steal from Deborah Lowe all the time. Deborah says, this is the gift you'll never miss because it's coming out of the estate, and it's coming out of the estate after you and your spouse have passed. So your spouse is not going to miss it either. That's the way the codicil is written. So after both you and your spouse have passed, when they're settling up that final estate, then any monies that you've agreed to give will be given. And it can be $10,000, it can be $25,000. You can become an Arch Clump Society member and give $250,000 in your estate if it's there. So anything you'd like to do like that, the major donors, folks in the district, it's Rich Panic. In the zone, it's Deborah Lowe. They'll be glad to help you figure out how you can do all those things. And there are other things you can do as well. You can endow a scholarship. You can do outright gifts of money or appreciated stocks. You can do a life insurance policy. When you're 25, you can buy a $100,000 life insurance policy for not very much. When that thing's paid off, then it would go to the society and you become a huge donor in your estate. Or if you bought life insurance when you're young and you no longer need that, your house is paid for, your retirements are all set, and you don't need that life insurance policy, you can put that into the foundation and they'll collect that life insurance. That's another way to become a huge donor and have an impact. You can, if you've got significant funds, you can create what's called a charitable remainder trust. You can do a pooled income fund or a donor advised fund. Those are technical things. I'm not going to get into them, but believe me, the foundation has experts, and those experts can help you do that so that you can do whatever you could do with any financial advisor. They can help you do it through the Rotary Foundation, or they can work with your current advisor to make that happen. And just an explanation, just a gift of, let's say $25,000. You $25,000 in your estate to the Bequest Society. That's going to earn about $1,000 a year. So a $25,000 gift to the Bequest Society is like being a Paul Harris Society member forever. Every year, your gift would be giving $1,000 back to the Rotary Foundation. So just think about those ways. That's an excellent way to have a huge impact over time. What time do we need to be? Okay.
12 minutes.
All right, well, we're getting close. So we recognize clubs who give gifts. The Erie banner is where you give $100. The giving banner is where you give $100 per capita. Everybody gives at least $25, and that's to any Rotary program. And then the Erie banner is where everybody gives at least $25. You have a $100 average, and that's strictly to the share fund of the foundation. And we give those banners out each year for clubs that earn them. According to the records I saw, you guys just missed this year. You had a few people that didn't donate. So maybe this year you want to work on that so that we get everybody participating. The third banner is a really exciting banner to me. That's 100% Paul Harris Society Club. Believe it or not, there are a few clubs in the world that do that. I promise you, if you guys become a 100 Paul Harris Society, I'll buy you all dinner, and I'll come and pay the bill when you have dinner. So just work on that. That'd be a great accomplishment. The next one is the 100% Paul Harris Fellow Club. You guys have already earned that. You will always be a Paul Harris Fellow Club in perpetuity. Every once in a while, you might want to try to get your new members up so that everybody's 100 is a Paul Harris Fellow. So you can kind of renew that, but that's certainly a way that you can do that. And there's one banner that's not there, and that's a banner that recognizes clubs where everybody is giving money to the endowment funds. And again, if you meet those standards, we'd be glad to make that happen and to give that. So just so you'll know, in case you don't, last year you gave over $10,000 to the annual fund. You had 105 of your members who were E-rate qualified, and about 97 of you were sustaining member qualified. So you don't have a whole lot of work to go to reach those much higher standards as a club. And you had a very generous donation to the Polio Foundation of almost $3,000, for which that's the reason you got the certificate from the chair of the Rotary Foundation today for that outstanding work that you did on that. So I certainly would appreciate all that you've done in that respect. Some other ways that you can actually give your money to the fund, and I kind of talked about this one briefly. Rotary Direct is where you just set up an ongoing gift. Again, that's my wife and I have been Paul Harris Society members for years. We both just set up a Rotary Direct where it's just a credit card bill each month, and I don't really miss it. I like the tax deduction when it comes in at the end of the year, but I don't miss it during the month. So you can set that up yourself online. Your club still gets credit for that. It'll look just like you gave the money right through your club as part of your dues, so your club's not losing any credit, but you can set it up online. And you can do that for any amount that you'd like to do it. You can also use that for a one-time gift. So other ways that you can give. We talked about Rotary Direct. You can donate directly to the Rotary Foundation by just going to Rotary.org and filling out a simple donation with a credit card. You can write a check and mail it to the Rotary Foundation. You can write a check and give it to your treasurer and have him turn it into the Rotary Foundation. You can write a check that's made out to the club and they'll pass it through. So there are a lot of different ways to do it. You just want to make sure that if they're passing it through, they're passing it through so that you get credit, when it comes back to you for your donation. You can mail your gift in directly. Any of those things that you do will have an impact. And one thing that I often forget to mention, I want to mention sometimes while we're still a lot of us are retired, but not all of us are, many corporations match your gifts when you donate to charities. So you should check with your company and see if they've got a matching program like that. If they do, you could have your gifts matched by your company, and that would certainly be a way to really enhance the giving in your club. But I've talked about some big gifts and big ways to give money, but I want to make the point that every gift, a gift of any size, can have an impact. $15 buys a dose of polio, and we're still fighting polio around the world. A fact I didn't mention when we went through the numbers is we happen to have in this district a very generous family, Rotary family. They became Arch Clump Society members by giving to polio. And the polio gifts that they've given over the last 2 years have made your district the #1 district in the world in giving to polio. So you participate in that with your gifts, and they carried us over the finish line to be #1 in the world for that. So we certainly appreciate that. But a $15 gift buys a dose for polio. You can buy electronic equipment. You can buy classes for folks. You can buy equipment like the sewing equipment that we talked about. You can do water projects. health equipment, you can do youth programs. Anything that you give, you can direct even a small amount to have a huge impact somewhere in the world. So don't feel like, well, I don't have a $250,000 give, so there's no use my doing that. That $25 a quarter that you give mounts up with all the other folks, and it has a huge impact over time. So I really encourage you to do that and to consider continuing to do that. So I just want to say that thank you for your generous donation. These young people in that picture, thank you. Over the years, your club has given almost $500,000 to the annual fund, and I hope you'll continue to grow that and you'll continue to do great things in your community. I know that the Rotary Foundation sends money back to you for your GED program. I know that's not all you do. I know you've got a service above self award for fifth graders. You deliver meals to folks in your community. You run this great track meet that where you honor youngsters and let them participate, and the money goes back to the school. And you have you do a dinner honoring first responders, and you do a lot of other things during the course of the year. But the TRF is proud to help you do those things by freeing up some money to go for your GED program that gives you more money to do on the other things that you do locally. My pleasure to be back with you again today. If we have any time left and you want, I'll be glad to answer questions. If not, my contact information and past District Governor Acevedo's contact information are on the slide, and we'll be able to answer any questions at any time. So thanks for letting me join you today.
Anybody have any questions?
So if someone wanted to, just for clarity's sake, wanted to include that in their will, so they talk to their attorney about it, how do they get that started?
There's a simple codicil. It's available on the foundation website, or you can contact Rich Panic. He's got those, or Deborah Lowe, and you just give that to your attorney, and they can include that with your estate package.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
We got some line as well. Any questions from the John Hutchinson's has one.
Go, John.
Let me get it. Okay. Has the foundation come up with anything to directly address the COVID pandemic?
Well,
Let me repeat the question.
okay.
Has the foundation come up with anything to address the COVID pandemic?
Well, it depends on how you want to say that. They've given money back to the districts, which the districts have used to help their local clubs. So some of the food that was distributed was paid for with money that came back out of the Rotary Foundation, and we've distributed in the district. There's another round of funding coming. District Governor Tina will have more funds that clubs can match to give food away in their communities, or there'll also be some funds for protective gear and equipment that's coming back out of the Rotary Foundation. Probably the biggest impact worldwide was in other countries where we're still giving polio vaccinations. In the United States, we don't even think about it, it just happens automatically. But in lots of developing countries, they have to go out and go through national immunization days to make that happen. We've got a tracing organization, and they used polio's tracing to do the tracers for the COVID around the world. So you had a huge impact in underdeveloped countries because they were able to really get a handle using people who already knew how to do that and were trained to do it. And so our polio work around the world really was a great use there. That answer your question?
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Do you think, talking about the polio vaccination, do you think they would be able to use the same network to distribute the COVID vaccination?
That's an interesting question. We'll have to wait and see. Different governments will work different ways, but yes, they could. The National Immunization Day formula is there. The contacts are in place. So theoretically, they could actually use that same formula. And just a note, you may have seen we did have a spike in polio cases. It could be avoided. With this COVID thing shut down, immunizations and several national immunization days were missed. And then the war in Afghanistan and Pakistan, they got kind of sideways and they shut off some immunization. So we're up higher than we were the year before, but it's something that we can address and we will fix. We just need to get back to normal and get back things on track. But don't be discouraged. Everybody in the world knows we're going to get there, and everybody believes that Rotary is the one that's carrying the water, is going to help us get there. So we'll keep working it.
Thank you, past District Governor Martin, for being with us, and let's give him a round of applause. I don't think we actually talk enough about the GED program that we have. It's just kind of a given that we do it every year, and we don't really mention it in the clubs. And it's actually a real education is what is that link that we can bring to our community. I think
We need to get somebody from Georgia Northwestern to come talk to us about it.
we do.
Again, Heidi Popham, maybe have her come by again. She's in the Rome Club and she's up here quite often. I think it'd be good to do that.
That's a great suggestion, because I just don't think we talk about that. And the district grant and the Rotary Foundation has helped us with that. How many years now has it been helped us with the GED?
I don't know.
Many.
Yeah.
It appears to be your standard request.
It
Yes.
is.
Well, there's a trick to that, by the way. I don't know how much you need, but the more you ask for, the more you get. Some clubs don't ask for enough.
And I think education, that's one of the focuses, part of his presentation, part of one of the focuses. And I think that's something that our club does, is we focus on the education. We have the scholarships that we fund, we have the GED program. So that's exciting that we can get involved in that and have some extra money into it.
President Ricky, I think that this is the 4th year we've been doing the GED.
I think so. And the beauty about this is we struggle just about every year to find a good community service project that we could do. And we were running out of options. So the first year we did that, it began to make sense, and we realized we don't have to have a different project every year. We can do it as a sustaining project. And we make more impact on more people by doing that than you do by building maybe one ramp.
Sure, I think it's a very pragmatic way of helping people where they are right now.
Yes.
So it gives them ability to make a better community, make a better life for them too, as well, after they earn their high school degree. So I agree with it. That's awesome.
Now, I hadn't read Booker T. Washington's autobiography until recently, and just him talking about education through that. That's a great read if nobody's read, if somebody hasn't read that. So read that. But we'll end. It's 1 o'clock. We'll end with the pledge to the flag and the 4-way test. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The things that think say is the truth, it's the very all concern, the goodwill and friendships will be beneficial to all concerned.